Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Michael Show. I'm Michael Tran. And for those who are not fluent in English, you can check for the subtitle in your preferred language by hitting the CC button at the bottom right of your video, and then you hit the setting. You hit setting, you hit the auto translate, and you choose your preferred language. Thank you very much. And today we will be talking about the primary season of the 2026 midterm elections. And this state for today's show is Louisiana. And as you know, I have interviewed Dr. John Fleming, who is the state treasurer of Louisiana and a MAGA candidate for U.S. Senate from this state. But since our previous interview, a lot of things have happened. So I would like to bring Dr. Fleming to our show for some updates and to see his plan to push through when we are just, I think, a month or two to the election date. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show Dr. John Fleming, the state treasurer of Louisiana and the MAGA candidate for U.S. Senate. Dr. Fleming, thank you and welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you, Michael. I enjoyed our last show, and it's great to be back with you once again.
Thank you, sir. And I have to tell you that my audience really enjoy the show. They love you because they know you're a MAGA candidate, and we saw a lot of things happen since our previous interview. Especially, you have a new opponent in the primary. And she seems to be very strong because of the political machine in D.C. and especially she got President Trump's endorsement. She is a Congresswoman, Julia Letlow. But I explained to my audience that the reason I stayed with you, and they agree. They decided to stay with you too. But can you give us some updates about your campaign regarding fundraising or grassroots outreach and other things, sir?
Yes. Fundraising has been difficult because Bill Cassidy is heavily funded by Big Pharma and other Washington-based special interests. They give him lots and lots of money because he's doing the woke left-wing things up there. Julia Letlow gets a good bit of support, not as much from Washington, because she does something very similar. Her voting record is liberal, just as Bill Cassidy's is. And she is basically beholden to special interest in Washington. I, on the other hand, only care about what the people say, what the people want, what the people need. And people contribute to me one by one, but there's no big organizations. There's no big pharmaceutical company or big hospital company, even though I am a physician and care a lot about healthcare. But I think that patients, consumers are being largely ripped off when it comes to their healthcare. I think you're spending more and getting less, and the money is going to these huge interests out of Washington. So there's no question that they have an advantage on money. However, I have a great advantage on grassroots support. Our campaign now has 20,000 yard signs spread throughout the state. We have over 250 volunteers. We have been winning in all the polls we've done. And of course, you know about the independent poll that shows me leading as well. So yes, there you go. That one where I'm at 34%, Letlow at 25, Cassidy at 20. And so I don't think there's any doubt to people who go to our social media, we're very active, where most of the support is, and that is for our campaign. And so I would say that we're definitely leading in most categories, including the grassroots support. They're leading in the money, but they're spending tons of money. Bill Cassidy is spending $1 million a week just on his attack ads against Letlow, and he's probably spending half that much on his own campaign. Whereas, I'm not attacking anyone on TV. We are running TV ads. We're not as dense and intense as they are because of their huge dollar advantage. But we're still making inroads. And towards the end of this cycle of the election, we'll be up big on TV. You'll see a lot about us.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And I'm showing to everyone the ads from Cassidy attacking
Yes,
Congresswoman Letlow, and I see when she decided to run, when she announced her candidacy, the two camps start attacking each other, and that's why people, I think people are so mad at it, they're so
yes,
tired, and then they wanted you before this is with her with the endorsement from President Trump
yes,
for her. So I
sure.
think that she's not in a good shape because she is in a spending fight with Cassidy. But the thing is
Yes,
that make me very annoyed and disappointed that now she deploy Governor Jeff Landry to
yes.
attack you, to falsely attack you on the CCS. Can you talk briefly about that and how false he
Yeah.
was, and
Well,
the
yes,
and do
absolutely.
voters buying it?
Yes. Well, really, it goes back to Jeff Landry has been working for probably 2 years to get the endorsement for Julia Letlow. He's been working, he's got cronies up in Washington that have been lobbying the Trump team up there, trying to convince them to get behind her. Basically, she was not going to run in this race unless she got the endorsement of President Trump because she knew that her voting record's very weak, very liberal. Cassidy's ads are correct. She's very liberal. She also supports carbon capture and sequestration. Her fiance is one of the largest lobbyists for that industry. And uh, Jeff Landry, as everyone knows, as governor now, wants to control everything that happens in Louisiana, as well as what happens in Washington. Some say that he wants to try to run for president one day.
Hmm.
And so, because her campaign has been failing, he deployed all of his cronies to take over her campaign. And he came out and attacked me, claiming that I had voted for, while I was in Congress, carbon capture and sequestration. The only problem with that, Michael, is that there was nothing in the 8 years that I was in Congress that had anything to do with carbon capture and sequestration. The bills he points to are merely the average energy bills that Republicans supported in those years. Conservative Republicans supported, Democrats hated, and they included development of oil and gas and nuclear and other forms of energy, but not carbon capture and sequestration. There's nothing in there about that. There's a little bit about something called carbon capture and oil enhancement recovery, which is to use carbon dioxide to push out that last 15% of oil from an oil well that's going dry. But that's not dangerous. It's been around for 50 years and has really nothing to do with carbon capture and sequestration. So, but there's been a huge backlash against the governor because everybody knows that that's just a straightforward lie. I never voted for it, never supported it. It never came up in the 8 years I was in Congress. And this was voted in this state back beginning in 2020, first with John Bell Edwards, that governor and legislature, and then later, of course, Jeff Landry has taken it to the next level, really put it on steroids along with the legislature. And they've passed about 7 bills in a row that made it possible to make Louisiana a toxic dump of carbon dioxide as well as other things, oil and residual stuff from the industry processing, from manufacturing, that they want to drill holes, stick it in the ground, and cap it. And it can escape, and it is dangerous. It can kill you or severely injure you if it escapes and you breathe it in. But the worst thing about this is part of the law that they passed is something called eminent domain. Now, eminent domain is something that's been with us from the beginning of this country. It simply says that a government can purchase your property even against your will if it's for the good of all. That is, let's say power lines, or let's say a sewer pipe or a water pipe that may come across your land, or maybe build a highway or a bridge on your land. And but they have to just compensate you. But what you can't do is allow a private company to come in and take your land against your will for profiting, not for the good of all, but for profiting for themselves. But they actually put that in law with these series of carbon capture bills that allow a private company, even from a foreign country, to come in and say, look, we need your land for carbon dioxide. We're going to drill holes in the ground and stuff that there. And we will protect you for 10 years, but after 10 years, you're on your own. You probably won't get paid anything for that. If that escapes, it could get into a school, a business, or a home. Again, it has the potential to kill. And then lastly, if it gets in your water supply, it creates something called carbonic acid, which then goes on to leach heavy metals like lead from the rock formation into your water supply, your aquifer, and then it's ruined. Also, you can't drill for oil and gas through it, so you lose your mineral rights for your land. So basically, this is a terrible bill, terrible law. There's no reason why we should have to even capture and sequester carbon dioxide. Even the EPA now has taken down the rule that said that carbon dioxide was a pollutant to the atmosphere. All of that net zero stuff that was passed into law over in Europe, none of that stuff applies to this country anymore. But the reason why this is occurring is because there's a few wealthy companies out there and some politicians who stand to make a lot of money from this, and they are bound and determined to bring that to Louisiana. And probably 2/3 of all capture and sequestration of carbon dioxide is planned for Louisiana from the entire country. And that's not a good thing at all. Louisiana will be looked down upon as a toxic dump for this country and for Europe, because a lot of this is to benefit Europe, which is still into that climate ideology that goes on even today.
Wow, it is horrible. And the thing is, the people who accuse you of being pro CCS are the people who are backing the CCS, and
Yes.
it's very disappointing that when I check the website that Governor Landry introduced to everyone to fact check you, and I asked Grok about that pack. That is, the name is the MAGA Energy Pack, and
Yes.
Grok said that it's generally a group that is pro CCS.
Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the registered agent is a person who has represented Governor Landry in legal matters, and the
Yes.
president is an appointee to the board of commissioners by Governor Landry. So he's
Yeah.
actually deploying his people to go after you with false
Yes.
accusation. This
Yes.
is a very bad and very low, and I
It
have to say that
very good.
he should just focus on Louisiana and Greenland. He's now the special envoy to Greenland, so just focus on that. Finish the task that the
Yes.
president gave him to do. But
Yes.
yeah, but back to the point that it is also telling that Congresswoman Letlow is not as strong as people have thought, and
Yes.
and you also mentioned that her about her fiance, and I think those are the things that people know about her. So I
Yes.
asked people about Congresswoman Letlow, and what do you know about her? They're like, oh, her husband died of COVID. She's assisted her husband, and she has a new a fiance, and that's it. And I asked them about her voting record. They have no idea.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Her voting record is very liberal. It's actually a little bit more liberal than even Cassidy's is. And look, she was elected to office, as you say. What happened was her husband died of COVID. He had already been elected
yeah,
to that seat, and but he didn't take office because he passed away.
yeah,
And so people, of course, there was a strong sentiment in her support to say, and this is not unusual, where you'll have a member of Congress who passes away and the spouse will run for their seat and usually gets elected. But she's never been through a competitive race. She's never had to defend her record. And what we find out is in her record is not only does she support heavily carbon capture and sequestration, as does Cassidy, but also her voting liberal voting record. But also when she was a college professor, she actually ran the DEI program at the
Wow.
University of Louisiana in Monroe. And, that's diversity and all that stuff that really is a racist type of ideology because it's not diversity at all. It's all about the woke ideology. So she's been very liberal, and some say that she was actually a Democrat before she switched parties for that. So what people are upset about is she's not the prototypical candidate that you would expect Trump to endorse. Trump typically endorses strong conservative candidates, and as you know, not only am I strongly conservative, but I was actually in the Trump administration for the first 4 years. I was Trump's deputy chief of staff in the White House.
Yep.
And but I think that Jeff Landry had meddled enough and finagled enough and cut enough deals that he got the endorsement for Julia Letlow. But I'm told that once he found out how liberal she was and all the problems she has, that he was very angry at the governor over this.
Yeah, thank you. And I see that the people on the internet, they're already angry. And like whenever I look at her post, I see the majority of the posts are about vote John Fleming. Well, I don't vote for you. I don't trust you. I vote for John Fleming. So which is good. And uh, and then they also put their own polls. Like Cassidy and Letlow, they have their own push polls, the pro
Yes.
Cassidy or pro Letlow polls. But the poll that I just show here, that it is an independent poll. This not
Yes.
like pro Fleming poll. This is a real poll. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's also a more accurate poll because they polled 1,400 people. That's over twice the number that is normally polled. So the margin of error is smaller.
Yes.
And I didn't even know there was a poll out there. I just saw that on X one day, and I go, "Heck, what's this? A poll?" And and I still don't know who paid for it. I have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. All the polls that they published are just their own polls. Like the poll from Letlow, she paid Fabrizio Lee to do it. So
Right.
yeah, and that so right now she is expanding the war field, like from Cassidy to you. So it means that she has no idea what she's doing, but like President Trump said, let them fight, let them fight. We do we,
Sure.
we, we do we do our own job. So what are your plans in from now to the election day that you can that can help you push through the line and at least get to the runoff?
Well, I will mention that both of them have been dodging all of the forums and all of the debates. Um, they won't debate. And the reason is that they can't defend their records. Bill Cassidy voted to convict President Trump in the second impeachment trial. He's a very liberal voter. He voted for the Infrastructure Act under Biden, which paid for a lot of woke projects that are going to be a waste of money. Julia Letlow has very weak voting record, and they don't want to defend that voting record. Julia Letlow also is up on ethics charges in Congress right now. She did over 210 stock trades and did not report them, and
Wow.
that's a problem with insider trading. And so she doesn't want to defend that. Me, I volunteered for every single forum and debate, but neither one of them will come on TV or radio. Neither one of them will debate. And so I just think that's sad. The American people need to know what we have to say, what our policies are, what our platforms are. But as far as our plans, we are beginning to intensify our advertising. We've been mostly doing some TV, some cable TV. We've been doing a lot of digital stuff with Facebook and X and those. We also are doing direct calls. We're actually calling people with our professional phone banks. We're doing direct mail. So y'all should see some of that. But as we get closer, we're going to be seeing more and more on TV with TV ads. The ads you see here, some of these ads will be on TV as well. So we are beginning to intensify because we're only about 7 weeks from May 16th, which is the day of the vote. But early voting actually begins May 2nd.
Yeah.
Some people will be getting a mail ballot if you're over 65, even earlier than that, sometime in April. So it's coming very fast. And it is important that those who want to vote for me, they either have to be registered Republican or they have to be registered independent.
Yeah.
If they're a registered Democrat, they cannot vote for me because this is a closed primary.
Yeah.
And so it's important that if that's who they want to vote for, they've got to be registered that party to make that work.
Thank you, sir. I'll be reminding my audience in Louisiana to double check their voter registration because of that we have different rules in different state. So thank you for telling me that they have to register either Republican or
Yes.
independent.
Right.
Yeah, and one other thing I see right now in the Senate is they're getting stuck with the funding for Department of Homeland Security and the Save
Yes.
America Act. I know some of the GOP senators, they try to say, "Oh, I support nuking filibuster or talking filibuster," but because they know that they don't have enough votes, they just say it for
Right.
optics, just like Cassidy and Letlow. And I would like to ask you about your position on it, and and do you have any plans or any tactics
Sure.
to actually put it through
Yeah.
to fulfill the promise to the American people?
Well, of course, the battle is over at Save America Act, which requires that a voter be a citizen first, and also, at the very least, have a picture ID, uh, probably a driver's license in most cases. And why? Because we found that there's been cheating over the years, and in 2020, we have uncovered massive voter cheating that occurred again, there were a lot of votes cast that were not credentialed or certified in any way. There was no ID for those people who voted. Some people probably voting 100, 200 times each. Manufactured votes, we have no idea. So we have to stop this cheating, and it starts with, again, we feel like you should be a U.S. citizen. Whether you're born in the U.S. or whether you're naturalized, doesn't matter. An American is American. Once you become an American, doesn't matter where you were born, doesn't matter where your parents were born, because we're all immigrants or descendants of immigrants in this country. We're very proud of that. But beyond that, there should be one vote, one person. That is the most important part of democracy, is one vote, one person. And if you have somebody who gets a lot of votes and somebody who gets no votes, then that's not democracy. So it's very important. As you know, communist countries today have all sorts of cheating methodologies. Venezuela, North Korea, Cuba.
Yeah.
They constantly cheat on their voting. So you know who's going to be elected before there's even an election. We don't want that for this country. So what should we do about the 60 vote requirement for the filibuster? And some say, well, we should nuke it. But the problem is, if you nuke it, next time Democrats get in power, they're going to pass some awful, awful legislation that we won't be able to stop. Another thing I thought about is, rather than have a 60 vote margin or threshold, maybe bring it down to 58 or 57. Because nowadays, and probably for a long time in the future, the margins between majority and minority are going to be much smaller than they once were 20 or 30 years ago. So maybe we bring that filibuster threshold down some, I get about the talking filibuster and all of that, but I'm thinking that maybe, actually, this has been done before. There was a time in history when the filibuster was, I think, two-thirds votes. So we brought it from two-thirds down to 60. And maybe in modern times, we need to bring it down to 58 or 57 or even 55 versus 45 to pass legislation. So I'm anxious to get to work on that once I'm elected into office.
Yeah, thank you. Because politicians are playing games right now. They just give us false hope. And now
Right.
John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, he come out like, oh, uh we can pass the Save America Act through reconciliation with 50 votes. So why don't you do it? And then,
Yeah.
yeah, well, then we may do it. Well, why don't you do it now? So why don't you say? Why didn't you say it from the start that we can do it through reconciliation? So
Right.
they're just trying to buy time, and people are so angry with that. And I tell people
Yes.
that, oh, if you're angry, you gotta vote in the primary, because
Yes.
if you don't vote, rhinos will be winning, and they still betray you.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
That's right.
yes, and you mentioned about your showing up, you showing up in the forums, and I saw that you will be speaking at the Turning Point USA event
Yes.
on
Yes.
April 1st. Thank you very much. It is a very good way to outreach
Yes.
to the grassroots, especially the young voters.
Yeah.
I have to be honest that you look so young. You look younger than Cassidy, and
Oh, you're very kind to say that.
no,
But actually, I've spoken five to five different chapters of Turning Point USA, and this will be the sixth chapter that, and I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be at LSU.
Yo, oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, this is a very good way. And given that Cassidy and Letlow, they are running away from any opportunities
Yes.
to meet the voters, I think it's very good way for you to turn the base out.
Well, and here's what I tell my friends, my supporters: if a candidate for office will not speak with you, will not talk with you, will not take your call, will not answer your questions, what's the chance they're going to do that when they're elected to office? And I can tell you they won't. And I get complaints all the time, particularly about Julia Letlow. She will not return phone calls. She will not talk with reporters. She's again avoiding all the debates, as is Cassidy. They just are not willing to defend their records. And that's not a good sign when somebody does not want to be confronted. I'm happy to be confronted anytime because every vote I've ever taken has been done through my conscience. No one else has ever in any way influenced me. In terms of that, I mean outsiders. My constituents influence me greatly, but I'm talking about special interest, other politicians. You know, do it this way, and we'll promote you, give you a committee assignment, or make you chairman. That's never influenced me at all. Or even worse, money. We'll provide you money. None of that influences me. Only my constituents, only the people I serve, only the people who elect me. That's the only opinion I care about.
Yeah, thank you. And I think that primary voters care more about authenticity, and that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah, and your appearance in the candidate forums or any the events that really helps
yes,
for your candidacy. And Dr. Fleming, can you remind us your website and the primary date so we can consolidate our support for you from
sure.
now to the election day, sir?
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Well, the primary vote date is May 16th.
May
It is a
16th.
closed primary. So Republicans and independents who choose to vote for Republicans will vote for one of the Republican candidates, and Democrat voters who are registered Democrat or independents who want to vote for a Democrat candidate will vote for a Democrat. And ultimately, of course, we know the Republican and the Democrat will run against each other in November. But that's how it starts out. But early voting is May 2nd. So if you think that there's any chance you'll be held up and maybe you're working or out of town and you can't vote on May 16th. You've got from May 2nd, probably for a week, that you can go into your local clerk of courts and vote right there early. So, and in terms of my website, it's FlemingSenateCampaign.com. FlemingSenateCampaign.com. And on it, you can learn more about me. You can see there where that certificate there is where I served as Deputy Chief of Staff to President Trump. But you can also volunteer. You can request a yard sign. We're happy to provide that. Whatever you'd like to do in terms of helping and participating, we'd be more than happy to have you join us.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Fleming. Thank you very much. And I will be reminding our voters to continue their support to you and remember their election, I can say, time, and then our election day, so they can get out and vote for you. We saw the things that the MAGA did in Texas, and we MAGA over there, they threw out 2 rhinos, and they about to win the Senate runoff in May too. So I think that May would be a wonderful month for the MAGA movement.
Sure.
Yeah, but to my audience, you need to get out and vote. If you are so tired, disappointed, or angry at the GOP leadership there, don't stay at home. Don't give them a chance, or even the Democrats a chance. You gotta get out and vote. Give MAGA a chance to make a change. Yep. So thank you, Dr. Fleming, for coming to our show. I wish you all the best. I wish you a victory in the primary. And whenever you need me, just let us know. And to my audience, thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoy the show. And remember, the website for Dr. John Fleming, that is FlemingSenateCampaign.com. The primary date, early voting, would be May 2nd, and the election day would be May 16th. Thank you very much, and I'll see you again.
Great. Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much. God bless you. You're a real patriot.
Thank you, sir. It's my honor to help the MAGA movement, and electing MAGAs like you would be the best thing that we can do for our country. Thank you, sir.
Right. Yes.